Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher. Playing night number 2, Minnesota and Brooklyn clinch their tickets into the big dance last night. No tickets will be clinched tonight. We'll just have teams eliminated. Charlotte and Atlanta square off, and San Antonio and New Orleans square off for the rights to play Cleveland and the Clippers, respectively. Mike, how are you feeling on day 2 of play-in season?
Doing pretty well. I feel like we were pretty much on it yesterday, at least for matchups and guys who are going to struggle and have good games. We were on Cat being kind of bad, Ant being kind of good. Nets going hot, Kyrie torching Okoro and cutting Okoro down. Feel pretty good. Matchups is up. 3 balls took the same approach. Probably doing that. Probably not doing one tonight if anybody's interested because there's nothing tomorrow. So. Feeling good. I'm loving it. Loving the extra.
Missed playoff Rondo, play-in Rondo, I guess.
Yeah, we did miss playoff Rondo,
which was a miss there. But swept the board on our props last night. I had a couple others rogue that were nice. I know you did as well. You took a Marcus Morris under. I took a Malik Beasley over.
The PG-13 over threes I took on for the 3-ball listeners that hit. I know better. That hit. Yeah.
Very interesting game last night with the Clippers in Minnesota in terms of how it was officiated, just called so tightly. And Minnesota, a great win for them given the circumstances there.
I thought Cat's fouls were legit for what it's worth.
I thought he made really poor decisions for the most part, but I did think it was not a playoff whistle in terms of usually there's a little bit more contact that's let go. There were opportunities for no calls throughout that game that they blew the whistle pretty quickly.
There were a lot of bad whistles, but I don't think Cat's whistles were associated with that. But, he needs to. I mean, he's going to be so important in the Grizzlies series. Pretty excited. I think he's going to kill Steven Adams, but he needs to bounce back because.
Interesting.
Yeah, he needs to bounce back. That's tough, man. Biggest game of your life and playing one of the worst games ever. But the Beverly fouls were kind of crappy to me, but it's gonna be. I'm really excited to break that series down. I think it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah,
and you and I. Did you take the plus 280 on Caesars?
I nibbled a little bit, not my normal series bet size on Minnesota, but I tailed you on that. I know you mentioned Minnesota has matchup advantages that you really like. We'll get into more of that on our Established Run NBA podcast tomorrow we'll be recording in between myself taking the train over to New Jersey to register a USFL contest, which, by the way, have premium subscription packages over at Established Run if you're interested.
So wait, is that why you're going to New Jersey? Like, that's the reason?
Yeah, that's how I have to register games. I can't play in New York.
Oh, let's go. That's awesome. Yeah. Are you doing anything fun in New Jersey besides that?
No, I literally just take a PATH train over and I get off the train and I walk out to a coffee shop and I just sit down, and sometimes I get like a water because I don't drink coffee. Sometimes I get a water and I just sit there and use their Wi-Fi and enter games. I get back on the train and I come back.
That's so good.
Yeah. Okay.
Back to Jersey.
Let's get into the injuries on this slate. This will again be a pretty quick show. Just 2 games, no questionable tags on the slate. Lou Williams is out for Atlanta. I don't know that he would be in the playoff rotation anyway, sort of like the Luke Kennard situation that we talked about yesterday with the Clippers. I think it would be kind of a break glass in case of emergency situation if you were to be playing. John Collins is also still out. It sounds like he's making progress, but the reports have been sparse in terms of Collins updates. So it sounds like he might be able to return for game 1 of a series if they were to make it there, but not sure if he'd be able to turn for Friday's plan. We've seen them play a lot without John Collins, so we kind of know what the deal is there. A lot more Gallinari, higher upside for Bogdanovic and Kevin Huerter as well. The question for me with Atlanta today is the secondary pieces like DeLon Wright and Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot. How hard do they get cut down? Because if they get cut down really hard, you could get really big minutes for Hunter, Huerter, Bogdanovic. So what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so I think the big thing that I highlighted in matchups has been the success DeAndre Hunter has had guarding Miles Bridges. it's like night and day. Like he's literally scored twice as much per minute, Miles Bridges, when he's not facing Hunter compared to when he is. So that leads me to believe that Hunter could play a lot. And we know that on the other side, the Hornets, we know they like to play Cody Martin a lot, right? We know they put him on Trae Young all the time. So that means the matchup could play smaller. So that means the Hornets bigs, PJ Washington, Mason Plumlee, Montrezl Harrell could get cut, which also means you're not taking Capella out. You're possibly cutting Danilo Gallinari's minutes, right? Like, and maybe playing Bogdan longer minutes when he subs in off the bench. Bogdan should be healthy. He's been playing through this knee thing. They've been off. They've kind of been managing him. So I think his minutes could be up. So I think this game's going to play a little bit smaller. So I don't think DeLon's going to get much. Obviously, Trey's going to play a lot. And as I mentioned in matchups, the Hornets have been one of the best teams at limiting Trae Young. His drives per game have been cut in half in 4 games against the Hornets. So, very interesting X's and O's matchups. We know Nate McMillan.
They've also played some zone against Trae.
Yeah,
which really changes the dynamics for him quite a bit. And those zone situations actually make it a little bit more important to get a secondary ball handler on the floor with Trae, so that Trae can essentially kind of be off ball and run around screens and get lost instead of on ball, because on ball in the zone, there's not going to be as many opportunities for him, but off ball. So that's where I'm interested in seeing, like, is Bogdanovich the guy that they choose for that? Is Herter the guy that they choose that? I don't think it would be DeLon, because DeLon doesn't have the shooting components for the zone. So that's my thing is Hunter, Herter, Bogdanovich, those 3 guys. How high can we get the minutes? Because I think that's the most important part of projecting this game.
Yep, I definitely agree. And we should add no Hayward. So that starting lineup with PJ has been excellent. They had 121 offensive rating since they've been using it. It's been one of the best offensive lineups in the NBA. And as I mentioned in matchups too, the Hawks have a terrible transition defense. We know the Hornets really want to run. So this game should be, I think, closer than the other one and higher scoring as well.
Interesting. On the Hornet side of things, I think we'll save the other stuff for the show. I think the Hornets.
Yeah, I think we got it.
We'll save that for behind the paywall. Okay, let's talk quickly on the New Orleans Spurs side of the thing. The Spurs, we were going through minutes projections and trying to figure things out. And one of the question marks we had on the Spurs was with regards to Djante Murray and how high he can go. And so I wanted to kind of start there with Djante. I had him at, I think, like 39 or 39 and a half or something like that. We pulled him down to 38. This late season illness has you concerned about how high Djante can go, correct?
Yeah, I mean, since he's been ill, so he basically showed up at the injury report 31st or 1st of April, whatever it was. And I mean, he's only played 32 minutes. He got normal minutes. He got 18 first half minutes in this game. I mean, that's tough, man, to like be off for that long and play like 40 minutes. So I don't think he has like the mega upside that like we've seen Kyrie hit, we've seen Garland hit, we see all those guys where we're giving him 40s and those. I feel like the range is like pretty solidly, 36 to 40, maybe a little bit on the under, especially if there's an outside chance of blowout. So yeah, that was kind of my case there. But based on the comments from Djante and Coach Pop, they had no concerns. So we'll see. So, but just 39 with so many, like just so much time off is a little scary.
Yeah. And then the other part of that, which we'll talk through on the show a little bit more, is just like, as always, you're trying to figure out who could potentially get cut down in these playoff rotations. Yesterday, I think we had a lot of success with that, right? We projected that Isaiah Hartenstein could get cut down. We had a under prop on him. And with the Spurs, they've had guys kind of in and out of the lineup over the last 2 weeks. So it's been kind of hard to get a gauge. But during that time, I feel like Josh Richardson has really played very well. And he's one of the few members of the Spurs that has any semblance of playoff experience. So my thought process is that, especially with Lonnie coming back off an injury, that Josh Richardson's minutes could be more sustainable on the high end and maybe cut into, Primo, Keita Bates-Diop, those types of guys. I think Lonnie's still, they need the firepower offensively. So I don't think Lonnie's going to get cut down too hard. But we have seen variance in these guys' minutes who do you think is most likely to get cut down from those secondary Spurs options?
And I'll add, the last time they played, they were missing some players. The last time we played the Pelicans, Vassell was out, but they did put Richardson on CJ, and they put Djante Murray on Devontae Graham. So that's another kind of feather in his cap there. So yeah, the bull case for Primo is like, oh, this is great experience for him. Obviously, he's a first-round pick, youngest rookie in the league. Like, you could spin that narrative too, but I don't know, man. I think you're doing your team a disservice to not put the best.
I think they're going to do everything they can to win the game.
I agree.
So I think the experience stuff. If you listen to Pop throughout the course of the year, they talked about getting him playing time and experience, but through the G League originally. Mm-hmm. And then towards the end of the season, I think once they kind of had things wrapped up and then they had, Djante get ill, I think they looked at that as a great time to get an experience in terms of meaningful games. I think they did that. I don't know that they'd necessarily play him just to play him here. I'm very interested to see the starters tonight.
Yeah.
Because I do think he could be vulnerable to not starting. I mean, even if he does start, he's had games where he started and he's played only like 14, 15 minutes. So he's the guy that I think is most likely to get cut down. And I would just note, Keldon has been playing, upper 30s for a while now because Keita Bates-Diop has been in and out of his health. Doug McDermott, they lost him. And so Keldon is a guy that, to me, on the Spurs, seems like a good bet to potentially lead the team in minutes tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's actually had increased usage in minutes against Jackson Hayes. They've really utilized him heavily. He's had a 26 usage rate and a pretty good volume when he's matched up against Jackson Hayes. So definitely into Keldon, probably more than anyone relative to most people, because we know DeJounte's getting hurt. We'll talk more about that on the show. I'm not going to give away all the goods.
All right, let's talk about the Pelican side of this because Brandon Ingram is listed probable. He's the one player with a non-out tag on the injury report tonight. And with Ingram, it's this hamstring issue that, at first glance, my inclination was like, okay, the guy came back and played like 35 plus kind of right off the bat. So I was figuring we'd have a spot where, Ingram would be good to go. And then you kind of cautioned me, hey, like these last games he missed at the end of the season was a re-injuring of this hamstring. So what are your thoughts on Brandon Ingram tonight in terms of his minutes ceiling in this elimination game?
Well, yeah, they had him. So he was hurt here, right, when he was playing tons of minutes, sat, missed, 3 weeks there, returns, 26 minutes, pretty hard capped again. Then they let him go. Then he gets hurt again, and he hasn't been back since. So I think that they held him out. They said he could maybe have played. He went through a full practice yesterday. But to me, the big quote was on April 7th when Willie Green said he aggravated the hamstring. Like, maybe they were, getting him ready for the playoffs, but like he aggravated his muscles, right? And the hamstrings, we know this, or at least I do. Hamstrings are the most aggravated muscle group in the body for athletes. So you, as a medical staff, are doing a disservice to the franchise, to the player, in my opinion, to play him big minutes. Hamstrings are like, I won't get into it, but so I think you're insane for a team that's had the Zion stuff, and obviously it's case by case basis for players, but I feel very, very strongly that Brandon Ingram is not getting this upper 30s minutes role. It's just wrong to do that as a medical staff. So, we'll see a little bit of more Jackson Hayes, more usage probably for Valanciunas. CJ McCollum's going to play a ton. Maybe a little bit of Trey Murphy, a little bit maybe Jose Alvarado overlap. We've seen 13 minutes of Alvarado, Ingram, and CJ all season. Not a lot, but it's a pretty small sample.
Yeah.
I feel pretty strongly that Ingram's going to have some sort of cap on him.
And I will note that when I had kind of the heavier minutes projection on him to start the day, we were showing pretty strong overs. And then we kind of talked through what might be a more reasonable minutes projection. And those, once we adjusted those, we were kind of right on the market. So the market seems to be assuming that there is some limitation to Brandon Ingram, that the upper 30s is less of a likelihood given the recurrence of the hamstring injury. So I think your analysis there makes perfect sense, but I also don't think there's like an opportunity to necessarily take advantage of the current lines unless you think there's re-injury risk, right? To the point where you want to like look at Ingram unders or different things like that. But
which I don't hate. I don't hate that.
We will we'll talk more about these things on the DFS show, which, if you are a subscriber to Established Run, I really, really encourage participating in those. Because especially during the playoff time, we have a lot of extra time, right? There's so many times during the course of Is our site in maintenance mode now? Great timing.
Yep, there we go.
Great timing, tech team.
Yep.
I don't know how to do sales around here. There's so many times during the NBA season that we're doing shows and we're having to react to news, and we're just trying to get through the show so we can go update projections. We don't have a lot of times to do question and answer and different things like that during the playoffs. And there's only like 2 games a night. We'll get through the meat of the work that we have to do in 30 minutes, and we'll hang around and answer some questions. And so I think it's a good interactive experience. I think it can help you learn how to play DFS, how we're thinking through things, and also can bring up stuff that we might not have thought of that are good angles for us. Just when, we have a lot of subscribers who ask really good questions. Yeah. So please, if you do have a membership to establish a run and you're available, please tune in to the show and participate, because it's a huge benefit to all. Carlos was asking if we have MLB projections. This NBA season, he's become an ETR NBA believer. We do not have MLB projections. We have golf, we have NFL. We do not have MLB at this time. But who knows? Never know. Never say never. Now that we've added basketball and golf over the last few years.
Yeah, and I'll add just with the shows. I'm not doing 3-ball, so I'm doing them to preview. I'm not going to do them Saturday and Sunday. I'm just going to save it. No free stuff for you guys. That's going to be paywall. I don't usually do 3-balls on the weekend, but I'm thinking I'll be waking up early, and you and I are going to do a show. Probably.
Yeah, we're going to do shows.
We can probably go.
Eastern,
we'll probably go
Saturday
4 hours for sure.
Yeah, but, we'll have plenty to talk about for a 4-game slate. So, all right. For those of you who are not subscribers, consider subscribing. We've got weekly and monthly packages. We'll continue to go throughout the NBA playoff season. Sean George, while on our exit out, is asking any update lean on Luka. We don't think Luka's back for a few weeks.
Yeah, I think that it's important to note that they're the first game of the playoffs. Like that's a really crappy blow, which is expected. But then they play Monday, which is kind of another crappy blow.
A quick turnaround. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Game 3 is the target for me personally. Doing some work that's encouraging.
I think that's the optimistic.
Yeah, target. That's an optimistic one. Yeah,
I think the betting markets really suggest that Luka would not be able to return until like a game 5-6. Like the Jazz are minus 320 in the betting markets right now to win the series. Yeah. So if you think Luka is coming back in game 3, I mean, I would be betting Dallas series lines. There's concern that how effective he would be, right, if there'd be limitations and different things like that. So it just does not look good. And I know the average recovery time based on players who have had a calf strain. I was reading this from
12 days in street clothes, probably
from Stotts. Yeah, from Stotts.
He's awesome.
He's fantastic. What's his handle?
In street clothes.
Yeah, in street clothes. Yeah. He's fantastic.
I love that dude. He's one of the best.
I think the average recovery time was 12 days. But there was a wide band on the variance on that. So if you think about that, like 12 days would be close to that game 3 period, but more likely maybe 4 or 5. And that's, the other thing here is if he's not able to come back for game 3, and let's say Dallas is down like 3-0 in the series, I don't think they're bringing him back for game 4. You know what I mean? Like I don't think they're going to do anything to risk next season.
Yeah, the location's important too, because I mean, you could pull your calf really a number of places. Obviously, tearing it, or there's muscle tearing. If you call it a strain, it's technically tearing in your muscle. But if it's like near your Achilles, like that's terrifying. We saw what happened with KD. There's like the Tony Parker had a thing in the soleus part of the muscle that like kept him out for a while, that like really hampered him. Like it's dangerous, man. Leg injuries, muscle strains are really dicey.
Yeah. So I'm thinking really it's like a game 4 is more like the hope. And by then I think it's a situation. The other part of this is, look, it's another early game on game 4. It's not like an evening game.
Yeah, that's
so. And then it's a quick turnaround to game 5 on Monday. So they gotta win 2 games without Luka, I think, to see Luka this series, honestly.
Yeah. I think that's right. Yeah, I think he's unlikely. I'm just saying from optimistic.
Yep.
2 weeks is too. You strain your calf and it's imaging on the MRI. Like it's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So like, and then take into account, I mean, my God, leads league in usage rate, drives a ton. That's the thing you use your muscles to propel yourself on. Like, Yeah, it's like pick a player that's he's conditioned. It's a whole big thing. Like he's conditioned now. At least there was an issue with that earlier this year. Like it's kind of amazing he wasn't hurt earlier. Honestly, with this. But anyways,
all right. Let's and if you're wondering about more information about the Jazz, we had Andy Larson on the podcast, on the Established Run NBA podcast, to talk about the Jazz. That's free on our podcast feed on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Check that conversation out. I thought it was really instructive about some of the things we'd see in the series. I also thought it was very useful in terms of kind of historically looking at this Jazz era and what could be the end of the era this year, depending on how things go for the Jazz in the playoffs. But definitely tune into that and think it was really helpful for preparing for the series. It certainly was for me and Mike. All right. I think we said enough on the injury stuff. We'll be back behind the paywall at 5:00 Eastern today. There's no show tomorrow. There are no games tomorrow. So enjoy the day off from the Injury Report Analysis Show. We will have a podcast that will go up probably Thursday night, Friday morning is usually when these get cut up and produced. We will be talking kind of round one series previews. By then, we won't have the 1/8s, but we'll have everything else. And we can talk through a couple iterations of the 1/8s really quickly, but we'll be doing that to give series previews. In the past, we've given betting leans on those as well. Those markets are, now that we can bet and more states are online, those markets are moving very, very quickly. So I will, in very different than other years, I will have had action already laid at odds that probably, if I'm doing this right, probably don't exist anymore. If I'm doing this wrong, we can all mock my closing line value. But we'll talk through those in the bets that we've each made on the podcast as well. So for myself, for Mike Gallagher, hope you guys enjoy the games tonight. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel here to get notifications when we go live. Make sure to hit, smash, or press that like button to continue to circulate this content so we can keep pumping out the free content for you guys during the course of the playoffs. All right. Enjoy the rest of the play-in. We'll see you guys back on Friday at 2:00 Eastern. Take care, everybody.